They didn't lose you when they hurt you. They lost you when you healed.
And here's what most people never expect.
You know what's fascinating? The people who cause you the deepest pain are often the ones who return later, confused about why everything feels off. They reach out expecting the same warmth, the same closeness, the same version of you they once took for granted. But something is different now, and that difference unsettles them more than they'll ever say out loud. Today, we're unpacking 7 quiet behaviors that completely change the dynamic. This isn't about revenge or mind games. These are genuine psychological shifts that lead to real regret in those who hurt you. Let's dive in. First, you stop explaining yourself. When someone wounds you, it's natural to want to clarify your feelings, to help them see the impact of what they did. But everything changes the moment you stop doing that. You no longer defend your decisions. You don't justify why you need distance or why things aren't the same. That silence carries more power than endless explanations ever could. When you were explaining, you were still inviting them into your inner world. You were sharing your vulnerability, your emotions, your healing process. That access made them feel relevant even after they hurt you. When you stop and simply move forward without offering the explanations they expect, reality sets in. They notice you're no longer looking for their approval. You're not waiting to be understood. You're just living your life, making choices, heading in directions they know nothing about. Psychologically, this creates what researchers call a lack of social feedback. People are wired to expect responses from those they were close to. When that feedback disappears, the brain interprets it as a real loss. They begin questioning themselves in ways they never did when you were still explaining. The regret appears when they realize you've mentally moved to a place where their opinion no longer defines your world. That level of independence is a form of power they never expected you to reach. Second, you're genuinely happy without them. Few things spark regret faster than watching someone thrive in your absence. Not performative happiness, not curated posts meant to provoke jealousy, but real joy that comes from reconnecting with yourself. When unhealthy dynamics stop draining your energy, something shifts. People often get this wrong. They think showing off happiness is the answer, but that still signals concern about the other person's reaction. True happiness is quieter. It shows up in your presence, the ease in your voice, the new interests you explore, the goals you actually follow through on. When someone who hurt you sees this authentic version of your happiness, something clicks. They remember the version of you who was anxious, overwhelmed, or struggling because of the connection you shared. And now, without them, you're doing better. The conclusion is unavoidable. Social psychology shows that people evaluate their importance by the effect they believe they have on others. When they see that you're not just okay, but improved without them, it challenges their entire story. They assumed you needed them. They believed their presence added value. Seeing proof otherwise creates a deep, lingering regret. Third, you stop responding to their attempts to get your attention. After hurting you, many people test the waters. They like an old post, send a random message, drop a vague comment, or appear in places they know you'll be. They're checking if access still exists, if you're still available in the same way. When you don't respond, when you notice and keep moving, it creates a psychological gap they can't close. Every ignored attempt reinforces the truth that you've let go. That's frightening for them, because many people assume they can return whenever they want. This isn't about playing hard to get or being petty. It's about real detachment. You're not withholding attention to provoke a reaction. You're simply focused elsewhere. And that authenticity is what makes it effective. The regret builds as they realize they lost someone who genuinely cared, and that loss came from their own behavior. The door they assumed would always be open is now closed, and casual check-ins no longer work. Fourth, you set boundaries calmly and without resentment. There's something deeply unsettling about calm boundaries. No anger, no long messages detailing how they hurt you, just clear, steady limits. Statements like, that doesn't work for me anymore, or I'm not comfortable with that, delivered without emotion or explanation. This reflects a level of self-respect that forces people to reassess their actions. Those who hurt others often expect emotional reactions: anger, tears, long explanations. While valid, those responses still show emotional influence. Calm boundaries show something else entirely. They signal that you've processed what happened and decided what you will and won't accept, without needing agreement or understanding. Research on interpersonal boundaries shows that limits set with emotional neutrality are the hardest to challenge. There's nothing to argue against. You're not attacking. You're simply stating what's acceptable in your life now. The regret comes because calm boundaries remove distractions. Without your emotional response, they're left alone with their behavior, and that's uncomfortable. Fifth, you're no longer available on their terms. One of the most overlooked things people take for granted is your availability, your readiness to show up, your habit of being there even when they weren't. When you stop organizing your time around their convenience, they feel the shift. When you're no longer instantly reachable, when your schedule fills with people and pursuits that respect your time. This isn't about ignoring others or being difficult. It's about valuing your time and protecting it. You're no longer waiting for someone to decide you matter. You're busy building, growing, and connecting with those who showed up when it counted. Psychologically, this triggers what's known as opportunity cost awareness. They recognize they once had access to you and lost it through their choices. They see you investing in yourself and others, and realize they could have been part of that. Regret sets in when they want your time again and discover they're no longer a priority. Sixth, you stop looking to them for closure. After being hurt, many people crave closure, the conversation, the apology, the acknowledgement. But when you stop needing that from the person who hurt you, something powerful happens. You create your own sense of resolution. You move forward without their validation. Their recognition is no longer required for your healing. This deeply unsettles people who caused harm, because they often expect you'll need something from them eventually. When you don't, it reveals a strength they underestimated. Relationship psychology shows that people who find internal closure demonstrate greater emotional maturity
And resilience. When someone sees you reach that point without them, it disrupts their sense of importance in your story. The regret surfaces because they don't get to participate in your healing. They cause the pain, but aren't part of the resolution. Seventh, you wish them well, sincerely. This may seem counterintuitive, but genuinely wishing someone well after they've hurt you often marks the moment they truly grasp what they lost. This isn't fake positivity. It's reaching a place where their journey no longer disturbs your peace. You can acknowledge their humanity, their flaws, while still keeping them out of your life. When people encounter this energy, it confuses them. They expect resentment or distance. Those reactions would confirm emotional impact. Genuine goodwill shows you've moved beyond the hurt. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. You didn't just endure what happened, you evolved through it. The regret they feel is often strongest here because it highlights your emotional depth, your maturity, and the grace you carry. These 7 behaviors aren't tactics or manipulation. They're natural outcomes of real healing. When you truly work on yourself after being hurt, these patterns emerge naturally. The regret others feel isn't your responsibility. It's simply a side effect of choosing yourself, your peace, and your growth. Healing doesn't need an audience, but it deserves a space. If this spoke to you,